All right, everybody. Glad y'all come out tonight to our health class with Jess Bahan. She's amazing and special, and we're so excited to have her in our office. She's been interning with us for the last few months, and she'll be interning with us through September when she graduates, and she's brilliant. I'm trying to convince her to keep doing awesome things in our office, so we'll see how it goes. But Jess is amazing. She's got a master's in nutrition, and tonight she's going to talk with us a lot about weight management, difficulty in losing weight. And so Jess, in addition to getting her doctorate of chiropractic that she'll be graduating from in October, at the end of September, early October, she also has her master's in nutrition, wealth of knowledge, worked in the nutritional industry for over 5 years. She's amazing. So thank you very much for being here tonight. And Jess, I'll turn the time up to you to teach us what we need to know.
All right.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. All right, so tonight I want to go over mindful eating and weight loss. I don't want this to be a lecture where I'm just telling you what foods are healthy and what isn't. This is going to be kind of the psychology behind weight loss and sort of just some different aspects that people don't typically think of. Okay, so what is weight loss? So when we think of weight loss, a general definition is calories that you take in and then you're burning more. Pretty easy. But if this was just the simple solution, then weight loss wouldn't be a multi-billion-dollar industry. So it's important to know that there's so many factors that go into weight loss, and we're going to dive into those tonight. Okay, so the way I divide up my life is constants and variables. So we have constants in our life, we have family, faith, friends, and then we have variables. So we think of things like our emotions, where we live. So oftentimes in weight management, these constants are the foundation. You're usually not going to be wrong if you do them, but the variables affect the constants. So we're going to go over each of these and how that affects weight management. Okay, so the first constant, just kind of go over all the constants. So eating vegetables, fruits, quality protein, low refined carbohydrates, so things like avoiding bread, pastas, things you might have already heard when you think about nutrition. And then getting at least 30 minutes of movement a day, about 10,000 steps a day. 10,000 steps a day is a very irrelevant number. Someone just created it. And the thing I like about it though is it's a goal. So it's important when you're losing weight to set a goal and go after it, so then at least you're tracking things and you're keeping things in mind. Drinking filtered spring water, we'll get more into that. And then sleep. Sleep's really important and often overlooked. So getting about 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. Okay, clean eating. So the thing I want to point out here, which I was just talking about, is tracking and setting goals. So if you've been in our office before, you may have heard Alyssa or Dr. Alyssa or Dr. Chase talk about how they usually use apps. So something like MyFitnessPal or MacroFactor. These are great. They're free. You can basically set your goals in, and then you can put in what your goals are, and then you can track your food, and you can see different things and how they're affecting you and your weight goals. So what we usually try to aim for is about 40% protein, 40% fat, and then 20% of your diet should be fat or carbohydrates. And then we should focus on more vegetables than fruits. And we'll get into that a little bit more, but basically what we want to focus on is getting higher fiber and lower sugar. So starting the day. When you start your day off, you wake up and your stress hormones, your cortisol, your thyroid hormones, those are all highest when you first wake up. So your metabolism is just ready to go and rumble. But if you start off the day and eat a Pop-Tart, you're just going to shoot your sugar up and then you're just going to crash. And maybe some of you guys have experienced that before. So what I want to emphasize here is making sure you're not destabilizing your blood sugar. So making sure we're getting quality protein, quality fat, and if you really want a carbohydrate, making sure you're pairing it with a fat and a protein. So something like this, avocado, lots of fat. Your eggs have good fat. It's a complete protein. And what a complete protein means is just it has all the amino acids. And that's really important to look for when you're looking for quality protein. And then they have some potatoes and vegetables here. Okay, another thing with clean eating, I know ideally we want to live in a pesticide-free, all organic world, but sometimes economically it's tough and it doesn't totally make a lot of sense. So I like to point out the dirty dozen. It's something you can easily Google, but a good rule of thumb is usually if you're gonna eat the skin of something, then you probably wanna try to get it organic. But otherwise, if you're getting something like a pineapple or a pomegranate, you can probably get away with getting those non-organic because they're protected by the outer shell of them. But we'll get more into that later, but you wanna help your toxic load. So making sure you're not consuming too many pesticides. Okay, our next constant is exercise. So like I said earlier, it's true, burn more calories, take in less calories, you're gonna lose weight. What I try to do with this is just making sure that we're setting goals for ourselves. So usually when you're trying to start losing weight, if you're not doing an hour a day of exercise, some HIIT workout, you can still lose weight. You can aim to do 30 minutes of something, some physical activity. And I just put up a study here. It showed that it helps cardiovascular health, weight management, quality of life, and physical fitness. So these are things that we know, but it's just knowing and keeping in mind to keep a goal and track your goals. Okay, getting enough sleep. This is huge for just recovery, cell recovery, but also if you, we've all gone nights where we did not sleep well and in the morning we're just not sharp. This is really important for just overall recovery. It's important for our hormones. The study that I found, when people got less than 6 hours of sleep, it showed that they had disruption in hormone imbalance, they had increased caloric intake and metabolic rate. And I know for myself, if I don't get enough sleep, the next day I am craving carbs. And why does my body want that? Because my body wants a quick fix. Carbs make you energy spike. So your body's gonna crave that more, so you're not gonna make as good health decisions if you're not getting as much sleep. So making sure that you're getting about 7 to 8 hours of sleep is really important here. Hydration. This one I wanted to emphasize because it's really overlooked. I'll get into more about how we want quality water too, but just making sure that you're drinking filtered spring water, avoiding plastic. We'll turn a blind eye tonight, but we'll get more into that later. But just making sure that hydration is something that you're thinking about, and we'll get into more about the reasoning of that too. But it's often overlooked, so I really wanted to emphasize that. Okay, and this is just the conclusion. I love these little images. It's basically the heart and the tongue telling the brain and the diet to go away. So it's just whenever we're starting to lose weight, we also want to give ourselves grace. Like, we want to set these great goals and we want to track everything, but if we don't hit our goal, that doesn't mean you stop doing what you're doing. You just get back on the horse the next day and try again. So it's just something to keep in mind, and making sure that you're working with yourself, and this is something new and different, so just give yourself that grace. Okay, so the variables. So this is where we're gonna start talking about toxins, how they affect us, how they affect weight gain, weight loss, and we'll go over that. Okay, so this is just kind of like an overlook of our environment, and somehow some of these variables are completely out of our control. This study was 35 years ago. I can't imagine how bad it would be today, but in 1989, they estimated that in 1 year, 6 billion pounds of chemicals were dumped into our water system. So some of those things are like pharmaceuticals, so it'd be like antibiotics, anticonvulsions, anti-inflammatory, sex hormones. So our water is really polluted. So it's important to not drink tap water because we don't know what's in it, how it's being filtered. And in order to get good, healthy weight loss, we want to make sure we're avoiding those things that could inhibit our hormones, our metabolic system. Okay. And sometimes people will say, well, I'm not eating lead-based paint chips. I'm not eating, toxins, whatever. And that's not necessarily what toxins always look like. Could be things like bagels and alcohol and Fruit Loops, and those are ingredients that you can't even read, you don't even know where they're made from. So those are considered toxins as well. So it's making sure that we're limiting those synthetic chemicals, those man-made foods basically. And it's also important to keep in mind that the food business is an industry. It's made to stay preserved, it's made to look pretty, it's made to taste good. So it's just keeping that in mind as well. I know one chiropractor, he has a hamburger from McDonald's. I think it just recently had its 16th birthday, and it looks like he just got it yesterday. And that's just because there's so many preservatives in the food. And just imagine what those preservatives are doing to our bodies too. It's just to help maintain it. Yeah. So it's just nasty. Okay. And then this is talking more about pollutants. And basically the biggest thing with pollutants that I want to emphasize here is your body is always trying to protect you. So when you're ingesting toxins, your body doesn't want those toxins just free roaming, causing all kind of havoc. So what the body's going to do is it's going to take fat and it's going to protect that toxin in your body so it's not exposed to everything. So you're actually holding fat, so you're making sure that your toxins aren't floating all over your body. So a lot of times if we are losing weight too quickly and we're not doing it in a good way, so for example, like Weight Watchers, that's a great way to lose weight. And usually it's cutting calories, but people will get sick afterward because they're not actually detoxing their body and they're not eating so much health foods. It's more that they're just focusing on calories. And that's where you can kind of get into some troubled waters. Okay. Does anyone know what gland is right here? Don't answer. Nice. So when you see a woman spray her perfume, where do you see her spray it? Exactly. So those are things that we need to be cautious of. Things that we're doing on a daily basis, just putting on our perfume, we're putting toxins right in our body. So when we're having weight loss issues or health issues, we need to be mindful of those things. So we're just looking at things like the lungs. I mean, smoking now, it's pretty outdated, but vaping, whatever, that's going to cause all different problems. Digestive tract. I mean, the digestive tract is huge, even just making sure that you're absorbing your nutrients as well. And then skin penetration, which these are things I like to highlight because they're often overlooked. Okay, and the other thing with toxicity is it's not only affecting weight gain, it causes so many other symptoms that we need to be aware of, and generally they're just looked over. Okay, so this is 1988, and this is the population of overweight adults in the US. So you see here, the red is about more than 35%. So this is 1988. This is 1996. And this is 2000. So, I mean, this was 24 years ago. It's only gotten worse since then. But the thing that kind of the concept I like to highlight here is obesity or not being able to lose weight. It's not a genetics issue. The analogy I like to think about this is genes will load the gun, but your environment pulls the trigger. So dependent on what you put into your body, what you're eating, what you're surrounding yourself with is what is going to affect this. Okay, and this is just talking about type 2 diabetes. It's only becoming more prevalent. I can't remember the current, I think it's for like Gen Z, it's like half of Gen Z is gonna have type 2 diabetes or something crazy like that. Like it's only getting worse. So this is just kind of a symptom of people not being educated about health and mindful decisions. Okay, and this is what I was talking about earlier, is just how toxins will bury themselves in fat, and they'll deposit themselves in tissues, and it's important to remove them, and that will be a key to success for weight loss. There she is. Okay, and these are the organs of detoxification. So again, just kind of highlighting what I was saying before, the skin with perfume, the kidneys. That's why drinking water is really important, because you want to make sure you're filtering your system, getting toxins out. We want to make sure that we're having bowel movements. That's huge for eliminating toxins as well. And that's going to help a lot with weight loss. Okay, and this is just kind of a graph of looking over about how important your liver is. So anytime someone's losing weight, I usually like to look at their liver function as well, because if you're not going to the bathroom all the time, if you live in a toxic environment, if you're eating a lot of just synthetic foods, then this isn't going to work as well. And if we're not getting this working, then losing weight is going to be really tough then. So this is just showing that there's different phases of liver detoxification. So when you get a toxin into your body, like a food additive, for example, phase 1, so it packs up your garbage. And then phase 2 is the garbage man taking it out. And that's like when you go to the restroom, urine, bowels, things like that. Okay, and then one of the variables that I mentioned earlier were emotions. This is one that's kind of overlooked, but the way I like to explain emotions and how they affect the body, you get really nervous about something and you like your stomach immediately, you can feel it in your stomach. Sometimes you may have to run to the bathroom, like it's that bad. Your brain can affect your body so much like that, and that's an emotion. So we want to think about how our emotions and how we feel dysregulated, that can dysregulate our nervous system. And that's a huge part in losing weight and making sure that you're functioning optimally as well. And the liver represents anger, so I just liked this little image. Okay, how to start. So things that you can take away tonight are set goals, grocery shopping. The thing that I've seen with people in the past is they're like, okay, I want to start losing weight, I'm going to start tomorrow. That's really not setting yourself up for success because you don't have the right groceries. You probably still have some junk in your cabinet that's going to look really good at 3 a.m. So you want to make sure that you're setting goals, you're going grocery shopping, you're setting a time, you're going to track them, getting a tracking app, something like that. Nutrition support, NET is neuro-emotional technique. So seeing someone for that, if you know that like your emotions, especially if you're an emotional eater, making sure that you're getting support with that. And then supplementation as well. That's really big, especially if you're having issues detoxing. I kind of just put up some products in here. I'm not saying everyone should take these products, but sometimes it's nice to know, what am I taking? What's in the products I'm taking? Like, why is this even helping me? What's relevant to this? So if you know that you're not a big vegetable eater, and something like this, you're gonna get kale, you're gonna get carrots, you're gonna get alfalfa. Those aren't things I even eat every day. So it's nice when you can supplement things and add things in your diet that you know are gonna help you detox and know that you're gonna get enough nutrients as well. And SP Cleanse, again, these are just like things I never even thought about eating before in my entire life. Spanish black radish, Oregon grapefruit, fenugreek. So these are all different supports for detoxing. SP green food. So again, just looking at kind of all the different vegetables. And fiber being really important as well. Fiber is going to help keep you full, and that's also going to help you keep you regular as well. Okay. And avoiding fast food. So kind of what I highlighted before. When it comes to setting diet goals, it's important to make sure you're reading food labels. You know, I don't know if you've heard this before, but shopping on the perimeter of the grocery store, that's really important because that's where all the fresh food is, and avoiding snack foods, things like that. I think as you go on and kind of through people's different health journeys, it's good to have some basic goals. And then as you progress, you can get a little bit more specific. So right now, okay, maybe there's something that's healthier than what you're doing right now and it has soybean oil in it. Soybean oil is not ideal, but if it's gonna get you one step closer to your goal and it's better than the Taco Bell sauce that you're eating, do it, because it's gonna take you one step in the right direction. Okay, so communicate with us. If you need help, we're here for you. And does anyone have any questions? Sure.
She said it. She's saying. So when people are losing weight, what you said setting goals, what would be like a realistic goal for someone who's trying to lose weight? You know, let's pretend that someone wants to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah.
What time frame might they look at for that?
I mean, usually you want to do almost, I know it sounds like it's not that much, but like a pound a week. That's even progressing in the right direction. But doing something like, if you're eating McDonald's 5 times a week and you say, okay, I can bring that down to 3 times a week, that's something. And then replacing that other meal with something nutritious, that's a step in the right direction. So it's not like you have to be like, I'm only eating salads, I'm only eating grass-fed beef. That's great, but it's not really realistic. So it's about making realistic goals and just changing and making those baby steps.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Blood types and diets.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Or
It is, yeah. For some people, it really makes a difference. Some people can feel a huge difference with it. I know personally, I like to do that. I feel like it just feels better in my digestion. So it's definitely something to look into. Yeah.
So building on that question there about blood types and diets in general, could you give maybe the 4 blood types and what maybe the top 2 or 3 foods someone might look at avoiding or eating one way or the other?
Yeah. So I'm A. So type A is more of a Mediterranean type diet, does really well with fish, has to avoid more like hearty red meats. And then type O is more of like your beef and potatoes. I think of like an Irish person for some reason, just eating like really hearty meals and stews. Yeah, so those are kind of the 2 that I at least think of. Yeah.
If someone were B blood type, what does that make you think of?
Avoiding chicken. But I can't remember off the top of my head, it's either white chicken or red, like the dark meat in chicken that they have to avoid. So you can get super specific with it too, but it's good to read up on. Yeah.
Now, what's your recommendation on coffee? Should we have coffee? Should we not have coffee?
Yeah, I mean, some of us love coffee. So yeah, I think the bad thing with coffee is it's just people are putting a lot of sugar in it, especially that's the first thing in the morning. So it's like, well, that's my cup of coffee, and you're putting like caramel sauce in it. It's like, but if you're doing just black coffee or making sure if you're not dairy sensitive, then it's okay. Yeah. And also like, don't take away the things that you love too, because then if you're sad, then you're not gonna stick with it. Yeah. Yeah, right, yeah.
So what would you suggest as like a snack option for someone? People are used to snacking nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest thing is beef jerky. The only thing I like to tell people to stay away from are nuts. There are some healthy nuts and you can have them in moderation. The problem is people don't know when to stop and they keep eating them, and they can wreak havoc on your gut, and keeping your gut lining together is very important. So, I mean, I love beef jerky. There's also, it just depends on what foods you're sensitive to as well. Like cottage cheese is great, but if you're dairy sensitive, then don't eat that. But it's thinking of things that are high protein, low sugar.
Does food timing matter when trying to lose weight? Like if I had my snack before bed versus not around bedtime, does that seem to play a role in hormone regulation or weight loss?
Yeah, there's like an old adage. It's in the morning, eat like a king. In the afternoon, eat like a peasant. And then at night, eat like a pauper. And that just means that like you're supposed to eat a lot more in the morning if you're trying to lose weight, because that's when your metabolic system's just on and ready to go, and it can help you keep burning calories. And plus you'll be moving throughout the day too. So eating big in the morning, afternoon, that's really important, but then not eating too much at night because you're probably gonna go to sleep soon. You're not really moving. So that's dependent too. But I also, the thing that I've noticed personally is not eating too many carbohydrates at night too, like for dinner, because that's not setting you up. It's not gonna help your sleep. So it won't sustain good sleep. So if you notice that you're sleeping and you're waking up throughout the night, that's a blood sugar problem. And if you just had a bunch of pasta, that could be why. So if you're not holding your blood sugar with protein, then you're gonna have some issues with sleep. So thinking that way as well.